welcome to Economy and Markets TV, the show that takes you around the world of economic and financial news. I'm Dave Okenquist, Senior Research Analyst here at Dent. Today I'm joined once again by Harry Dent, of course, the co-founder of Dent Research and Senior Editor. Harry, welcome aboard.
Nice to be here, Dave.
Yeah, absolutely. So, we want to change gears a little bit today. We want to look at geopolitics, which is also an area of your specialty. North Korea has been scaring the world now for a couple of decades, but it seems like there's a little bit of breakthrough in talks, maybe. Talk about what you see going on in North Korea.
Well, first of all, we're still in our downward geopolitical cycle, a 35-year cycle that continues down into about 2020. So this is just more of the same. From Middle East wars to terrorism and ethnic struggles in the United States and now North Korea, basically saying to the world, we're going to blow somebody up if you don't do something good for us. And you know what? It's working. That's my big insight here is, Kim Jong-un was the bad boy, just like Saddam Hussein decades ago, threatening all this stuff, even though he's a tiny nation and couldn't win a war with Argentina.
Right.
If he But threatening works because it gets people's attention. So he threatened, I got nukes, I got all this stuff, I can blow up Japan, I can send one to South Korea, even the U.S. now. And guess what? He's winning the battle here. First China meets with him, then South Korea, and now Donald Trump's going to meet with him. The world is bending over, kissing his ass, saying, oh, Kim, what can we do to get you to stop doing this? How much economic aid can we give you? How much sanctions can we lift? This guy is getting everything he wants. So that, with all these great world leaders and all this Trump and, the great negotiator, this guy is getting all the gains from my point of view at this point. So he's actually the best strategist here. Even though he may seem a bit crazy, his family's been in charge of North Korea, I think, for 7 decades. These people are not stupid. Yeah. They are keeping their people poor at their great benefit, but it's working, and it's still working.
And Harry, you mentioned sort of the chaos going around in the world today, and you attribute that to your research on cycles and the geopolitical cycle in particular?
Well, what I really did, Dave, is I went back and looked at our research, which we have in depth on countries around the world and demographic trends and urbanization and GDP per capita and standards of living. And here's the statistic. Here's my problem. Here's where I don't know where Kim Jong-un goes with this. Yes, if he can get some sanctions lifted, great. If he can get some economic aid, great. But can he really unite or open up trade very much with South Korea, the rest of the world? Why? Because they're poorer than shit. Let me give you some statistics. The average person in the world, which is dominated by emerging countries, not developed countries, is $16,000 GDP per capita, and that is adjusted for purchasing power, the lower cost of living. So it's even lower in U.S. dollars.
Right.
It is 9 times North Korea's. The U.S. GDP per capita is 31 times North Korea. South Korea's is 20 times. North Korea has a GDP per capita, again, purchasing power adjusted, the same as Haiti, the poorest nation in all of the Western Hemisphere. There's only 15 countries in the entire world out of, I think, 138 that have less standard of living than North Korea. They are poor, poor, poor. They're more like sub-Saharan Africa. The average for the lowest income countries is 1,700 GDP per capita. It's 1,800 in North Korea. So how can Kim Jong-un come out to the world, or especially to South Korea, and do more trade, or even think of integrating into South Korea like East Germany did to West Germany? East Germany was maybe half the standard of living of West Germany, and it was still a difficult transition.
Yeah.
And again, think about South Koreans revolting against competing with low-wage North Koreans, like way worse than Mexicans in the United States and illegal immigrants. So I see Kim Jong-un winning at this point, but in the end, I don't know where he goes with this because they're so poor, and his people have been brainwashed and locked out of any international information, or South Korea, to think that they're living in La La Land, and Kim's family are messengers from God.
Yeah.
I mean, literally.
Well,
and
certainly,
exposed. If the South Koreans could see, I mean, the North Koreans could see South Korea.
Yeah, I mean, good for Kim Jong-un. You launch a few rockets and you get some attention, and maybe you can get something out of this. It makes me wonder, would this be good for South Korea, or is the threat of, or is removing that threat of having, the artillery barrage on Seoul, is that worth it? Because economic integration can be a huge challenge. Yeah. I mean, you mentioned East Germany, and I think there's still problems going on to this day.
I mean, two things to summarize and close here. It would be good for South Korea in the long term because it would increase their demographics and their growth potential. You got a lot of people in North Korea, maybe about 40% of South Korea's population, that are impoverished. And if you raise them from 1,800 GDP per capita up to 30 to 40,000 over time, that's going to give Korea growth. In the near term, just like the incorporation of East Germany into West Germany, it's going to be a huge expense and a huge political problem for both sides. South Korea having to subsidize and compete with North Korean low wages, and North Korea having to be exposed to their people that they're idiots because South Korea is 20 times better. And South Korea achieved that in just 3 decades. They went from emerging country to developed country like Japan, and on a 21-year lag to Japan. I always tell people when I'm lecturing in South Korea, you are Japan on a 21-year lag, and that's the exact difference between the peak of their baby boom. South Korea has done everything later. They became rich, and North Korea is as poor as Zimbabwe and Haiti. This is going to be very embarrassing.
Well, South Korea is absolutely an economic miracle. And what Harry mentioned about following Japan, we've got tons of research on that. So hopefully, what's good for Kim Jong-un will hopefully be good for Korea more broadly in the international community. We'll certainly keep an eye on this. Harry, thanks for bringing this to our attention, and maybe we'll catch you next week.
Okay.
Take care.